All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start this now. I'm gonna share the screen one more time and hopefully this is gonna go smoothly for us. So I'm Lauren Kunkler, owner of Brightly Well, and I'll be presenting on the introduction to meditation made easy. So when we're talking about what meditation is, we can look at a definition in the dictionary. That is, to meditate is to think deeply or focus one's mind for a period of time in silence or with the aid of chanting for the religious or spiritual purposes or as a method of relaxation. And I think that most people, when they think of meditation, are most focused on that last little part there, the method of relaxation. And our meaning today is going to be creating an opportunity to take control of thoughts. And there's so many meanings, but really what's important is what the meditation means to you. So why do people meditate? The main reason people are meditating today is to take responsibility for our state of mind and be able to improve it. We can actually do change, and we can make these changes to our mind by practicing and having some intention on what we want to change. So this changing our brain, we're going to call mind training. And when the mind is observing, interpreting, and then creating reactions to our environment, we train ourselves to be mindful. And this is being aware of the feelings in our mind and body. The practice of observing these feelings leads to empowerment over what you want as an outcome for those feelings. The first step to improving your feelings is to create self-generated positive feelings. And that is going to be the forefront of what mindfulness is. And this is how we're going to use meditation to actually improve our mood and well-being. We're starting with just this word, awareness. And this awareness is going to lead us to observation. And the observation is going to lead us to this pause and opportunity to create new self-generated positive feelings. So to break that down into action steps, awareness is simply taking the moment to pause and think, what's going on around me? You could just be sitting there thinking, you know, how do I feel? Am I hot? Am I cold? Am I annoyed? Am I worked up? The awareness is just that moment of saying, okay, I'm going to look here. And the observation is actually starting to name some of these feelings that you're having. The pause and the creating these new feelings is a step where you say, okay, I am feeling really annoyed today. This pause moment is where I'm going to say, you know what, I'm not going to let this person, place, or event affect me like this. I really want to make the best out of my day. I'm going to place in some self-generated positive feelings to override the previous feeling. And here's some examples of these self-generated positive feelings. The feeling of awareness, you can think phrases like I am a friend, a daughter, a mother, I am a helper, I am a hard worker. Anything that you can positively identify yourself with, these are really positive ways to get in touch with yourself and who you are. Gratitude is one of the best self-generated positive feelings because it actually changes your brain waves the fastest as far as any of these different tools can do. So I am grateful for, and it doesn't matter what you say as long as it's true enough to feel it in your body. The next one's compassion. Compassion is when you really have empathy and sympathy for other people without any expectations. So I hold space for, it could be for people feeling nervous, anxious, and scared about the pandemic. It could be for the people who are working through all of the chaos, people who are sick and need some positivity and support from anywhere that they can get it. Unconditional love is a really, really strong one, the strongest on this list. This is when you kind of embody the whole feeling in your entire body of what it's like to love someone or something without any judgment and without any limit. And healing is another really great positive feeling. This is something that I am focusing on in Brightly Well, talking about how we can harness the power of healing as a self-generated feeling. So I bring healing to myself and others as a great self-generated positive feeling. And then finally, intuition. And this is the ability to sense an inner knowing, this connection between the body and the mind and the spiritual realm is something that helps guide us in decision making based on our morals, our deep sense of self, and our views about life and the world and how it works. So in this, you could say, I feel and sense. And here are some really easy ways to start meditating if you're not meditating already, or if you'd like to try different ways of meditating. This first one I call the dot method. And the dot method is really simple. All you have to do is take a white piece of paper and a black pen or marker. You're just going to draw a circle about the size of a penny or smaller. And in that circle, you just color it in, and you're going to stare at this dot. You're going to put it just in your line of sight. You're going to stare at the dot. And this is a nice way for you to both focus and unfocus your eyes. And the simple action of trying to get your two eyes focused on this one dot is enough that you have to try a little bit. And this will actually help you to stop thinking about other things. Now we can add on another step to this too, combining it with the nose method. So the nose method is a really yoga and Buddhist meditation traditional way of getting into meditation. And this is when you focus your eyes down your nose. And what this does is closes your eyes almost all the way. If you start to look down a little bit, you can see the just outline of your nose a bit. And as your eyes close, if they're closed all the way, it sends a signal to your brain to start sleep process or rest process. If they're open, it says continue with your action and observing your environment. But when you close them almost all the way, like when you're looking at your nose, you go into this quasi state of relaxation that's not sleep. And that's where we want to be for meditation. So you're actually hacking into this meditative state. So it's, for me, a little awkward to look down my nose. And so you can use this dot on the piece of paper down from where you started, right in front of your eyes. You're going to just move that paper down to where you'd be looking down your nose at it. And you can either tape this to the wall or put it somewhere that is a little bit easier to stay so you're not holding it while you're doing this. But just staring at this circle, you can try to stare at it for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 10 minutes. That is going to help you to start relaxing. And if you have a really hard time calming your mind down to do any meditation, these are great ways to get you started. The next one is taking a self-assessment. And this is going back to that awareness that we talked about a moment ago. This assessment is just a check-in with yourself of how am I feeling? How's my breathing? Am I comfortable? What's the temperature like? Do I feel a breeze? What do I hear? And this is a really great practice to start increasing your awareness just by doing some self-assessment. The next one is the flame, and using a candle flame or a fire to help focus your eyes. This is similar to the dot and the nose method, except for the difference that the light of a flame is a really warm orange hue, which is very calming to the mind and lets the whole process of sleep and relaxation start. So at the end of the day, the flame is a really great one to use. It's very calming, and it helps even the signaling in your body for the, sorry about that, for the body to start making its sleep hormones. The flame is also really special because this is something that's going to be moving slightly. And so you need to use your eyes and the muscles in your eyes to gently follow the flame as it flickers. And this can also help to distract you from whatever may be on your mind. The third eye, some of you have heard of this before and some of you may not have heard of this, but the third eye is a chakra point, or the point just between your eyebrows that is a point in your body that is referred to as where information comes in from the outside spiritual world. So the third eye is where we start to connect from inside our body to outside of our body. And you can use the third eye in meditation by just closing down your eyes and picture looking up between your eyebrows right on your forehead. Sometimes people even have a flat spot, a little pressure point right there. That's where you want to bring your attention and just sit with it and feel what you experience. You may see different colors, different sensations, but it's a really great start and also helps to calm down the thinking process. The next one is observing in nature. There's lots of names for this. Some people call it forest bathing, but I just call it being outside in nature. This is the same as taking a self-assessment, but you're assessing your outside world. So you're gonna listen to the crackling of the branches moving in the wind, the birds, the sounds of animals, of water trickling down a stream, and just sitting and simply observing the sounds and feelings in nature. The next one is using walking or cadence. This can get a little bit complicated on the scientific side of why this works, but you can use anything that creates a rhythm, especially walking, where you're walking in a nice, steady pace. You can also use things like drum beats. And this is just something to kind of get you into a rhythm and help your brain to calm down and get its waves going very smoothly as you start to calm your mind. You can do walking meditations just by observing your arms and your legs moving. This can bring people into a trance very quickly, and there's all types of exercise that revolve around using this walking cadence, and running even is a popular one to use. And the last one is music. This is something that you can use if it is helpful to you. There's sounds and tones like a gong. There are beats like the yoga music you listen to in many yoga classes, chimes and bells. Well, you can choose different ones, whatever is the most relaxing to you. But if you're wanting to get into meditation and these other things aren't working, just going online and looking up some free versions of music for meditation can really help you to get into that state of mind. There are also ones that are a step above that use specific hertz frequencies to get you into different mind states, almost as if you are matching your brain to the music instead of the music to your brain. We're letting the music help us get to that meditative state. And that's where I will leave you off today. And I hope you all enjoyed. Well, I'm sorry for the delay. Whoops. sorry for the delay in getting everything started today. It looks like we have some more people joining in now, and I'm going to hand it over to Kimberly Concra for her presentation today. Thank everyone so much for being here, and Kim, take it away.
Great. Thanks, Lauren. So my name is Kim Concra, and I am a public health nutritionist by day and graduate student by night, and starting up Yamaste, which is basically a more functional medicine approach to nutrition, which I'm going to explain in just a little bit here. Before I get into some slides, I just wanted to show you visually a few of the things I'm going to talk about. I'm going to be talking about root and a root aspect to health. So I have this beautiful beet here. So just keep in mind this beautiful root that goes all the way down and these leaves that reach all the way up to the sky. And I'm going to talk about that in more detail. But I'm going to be talking through the lens of food and spirit. And so food and spirit from Deanna Minnick. And so some of the books I'm going to mention are Whole Detox. I can see it looks backwards here. The Rainbow Diet. And she also has a quantum healing book. And then on one of my old shelves, I found The Color Code. This is not Deanna's book, but this is something that came out many years ago also. And it all revolves around color. The last thing I'm going to highlight are these cards that Deanna has. These are Nourish Your Whole Self cards that are available on her website, which I will have the link to. And they're kind of like, they're not really like tarot cards, but it might remind you of that, where you pick a card and you see how it resonates with you, and there's a little booklet inside that gives you more information. All right, so I have not shared my screen with slides before, so bear with me while I try to do this. Can you see my slides, Lauren?
Not yet, no.
Oh, okay. All right, let me see if I put them in slideshow mode.
Just make sure you're hitting share your screen, share screen at the bottom.
Yep, I thought I did. Let me just try again.
And just as a note, I just did the share screen and I got a couple comments saying you couldn't see my slide. So
okay.
Yeah, so it kept kicking me out of the Zoom when I would put it on. So go ahead and give that a try again if you'd like.
Let's see. Share screen. That didn't do any good, huh? All right. Well, you have my slides.
I did. Let me pull those up real quick.
Okay, that'd be great. Oh, wait. Hold on. Maybe I got it. Can you see me now?
Yes. Oh, yes? Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
Yay. Okay. All right. Now let's get it into, let's see, right here. Okay. All right. I timed myself. Hopefully will be 15, maybe 20 minutes, but just, give me a 5-minute warning if I need it. Okay.
Oh, sure, sure.
All right. So as Lauren mentioned, I'm a licensed nutritionist in Massachusetts, and I've also done the Certified Food and Spirit Practitioner Program through Deanna Minnick's Food and Spirit Program. So that's what I'm going to talk about in a little bit more detail. But the whole idea for Yamaste was, as a nutritionist, I realized there's more to our health than just food. So that whole mind, body, nutrition, meditation, all of it combined is really where Yamaste came from. That calm in the kitchen that follows is really my own comfort, my therapy, if you will, was really cooking. So that's where I find my personal calm, is in the kitchen. So this is my card, and I'm going to share my information a little bit later also, but CALM to me actually was an acronym for cooking and living mindfully, colorful and lively meals. And you'll probably see that as we go on through my slides, why that makes sense. So why Yamaste? Well, being in the nutrition field for over 30 years, I could just really tell that wellness was more than just eating our food. So people were eating the right foods, but they still weren't healing. So what was going on? I felt like there was something bigger going on. And in my 20s, I had this thought that our total wellness would be better off suited if we had a whole team of providers. So we would have a nutritionist, we might have a medical provider, maybe a therapist or a spiritual advisor, and maybe add in some other modalities. In 2014, I actually found this approach that really resonated with me, and that was Deanna Minnick's program, Food and Spirit. What I liked about it is it was holistic, it's well-rounded, and it's very flexible, so there's no particular, say, spiritual dogma associated with it. So I feel you could be a vegan, or you could be an omnivore, a carnivore. I mean, it's very well-rounded. So to kind of expand on the whole functional medicine model of health and how nutrition fits in with this, if you look at this image from the Institute for Functional Medicine, where we usually start when we start seeking medical help is right in the middle where it says signs and symptoms. And that is what we end up going to the doctors. And then the top part of that tree that you see is usually where we end up with a diagnosis. So our diagnosis, we have cardiac problems, we have endocrine problems, etc. But what functional medicine does, and functional medical nutrition really does, is looks down at the roots. So if we look down at the roots, that is really what has brought up all of these other things. Okay, so what are our environmental toxins that we're around? What kind of nutrition what are we feeding ourselves or nourishing ourselves with? How are we handling stress? And there's just a number of other things. So we're really looking down at the root cause to see what's going on. So it really is whole life healing. So the image that you see here is basically me, and I have many different distinct parts to me. So we're not an organ, we're not a liver, we're not a brain, we're not a heart, we are an integrated being. So that's really what this is. So in Food and Spirit model, we're looking at what you might say chakras, some people will say energy systems, Dr. Minnick says aspects. So what's really cool about all of this is all of these systems are frequency and vibration, and even the color of our foods that translates into. So to me, that's really what resonated with me. So you can see it starts with basically, it goes root and it goes clockwise all the way around to spirit, or there's another model that you'll see in just a minute here. So this is, you're not going to be able to read this, 7 Systems of Health, but you can download this for free on Deanna Minnick's site, foodandspirit.com. So what I'd like you to look at is the far left side, where you start with root, and then the different 7 aspects move up from there. So we have, say, your root chakra, some people might say chakra, root chakra, and then flow, and then fire, love, truth, insight, and spirit. And if you look across the top bar, you see those were the systems that I just read off to you, but then that corresponds to specific anatomy or specific endocrine systems. And then it just goes, if you read right across, you know, what does it look like as the main 3 topics that are associated with that aspect? What does a balanced lifestyle look like if that particular energy system or aspect is in balance? And what types of foods are associated? So the idea is to keep in balance. If you are off balance in one area, you can compensate by focusing on maybe a couple of the other surrounding areas. All right, so that was a very short version of kind of where this is going, but just as an introduction. So I can't talk about all 7 aspects today, so I'm just going to cover root for you. So this is one of Deanna's, one of Deanna's diagrams about the root. So you see the root chakra is down at the bottom. So what that is about is it's about our connection with our community, our tribe, our family, our sense of survival, being grounded, our structure, literally our structure as far as our bones and our DNA. And there's specific foods that are associated with that root chakra. Some of them are red foods indeed. Some of them are root vegetables growing in the ground. You can't get much more grounded than that. Some will say, and I think Deanna says in her book, you can feel more, if you look at a 4-footed animal that is very grounded to the earth, all 4 feet, touching onto the ground. Also, there's some of these root vegetables grow deep into the earth, so they have insoluble fiber, which helps with our digestive system. And we have foods for our immune health, such as mushrooms, skeletal health, and our adrenal systems. This is a different image of the same type of theme. But down at the bottom, if you look at where it says life issues, it says safety and the ability to survive in a physical world. So those are some issues. That one, connections to people. How is your connection with your family? Also looking at your rootedness, your groundedness. We hear a lot about forest bathing and getting out into nature. So that is just part of a grounding type of an exercise. And to the right there, foodandspirit.com, thewholedetox.com, deannaminnick.com, Rainbow Diet. Those are 3 separate sites that Deanna has her various programs listed on. So people ask me sometimes, what do I think about different kinds of eating plans? Am I plant-based? Am I vegan? Do I think paleo is the best? And I think it's honestly an individual. Part of it's our genes, part of it's our lifestyle, our choices. But I would say, if I were to put it in words, I would say I am color-based eating. So lots of fruits and vegetables. So if there's anything you were to take from the USDA's My Plate, it would be at least half of your plate as fruits and vegetables, if there was anything from that you would take. So on the left here, I have root. So think about the color of our blood and think about what our blood does. Okay, our blood has iron in it, and iron carries oxygen to all of throughout our whole body. I mean, that is a pretty dominant trait that we have. Also DNA, so that's where protein is really important. We have many minerals that we need, especially for bones. Our feet are part of our root, right? They touching the ground. Immunity, and skin, our skin being our largest organ. When we talk about red and rooted foods, we're talking protein foods, and those protein foods can be meat-based, they could be vegetarian-based, beans, lentils, etc. Minerals, we know minerals are coming from many different sources, and phytonutrients I would also emphasize in herbs and a number of fruits and vegetables. Root vegetables themselves, any kind of red berry, strawberries, raspberries, cranberries, and immune benefiting foods such as mushrooms, which I already mentioned. So here's where the balancing act comes into play. So as a food and spirit practitioner, we have a bunch of tools. We have a toolkit, and in that toolkit is basically a questionnaire that kind of does an assessment for all of the different aspects that I mentioned that were on the chart. So after doing that assessment, you get basically numbers for each of those, and then you can see where you're out of balance. So when I first started doing the whole detox diet plan, it's not really a diet plan as much as a detox program, an elimination diet over a certain period of time. I would learn something new about myself every time I did it. So the first time I realized I couldn't do afternoon coffee. The second time I did it, I realized gluten was not working for my body, because you go on a very well-rounded fruit and vegetable-based diet, and then you start bringing in other foods that you were ignoring and keeping out for a while. So a root and balance here on this slide is looking at, do you feel safe in your environment? What's your sense of tribe and family, community? And are you following your instinct when it comes to food choices? Not mindless eating, but focused and really listening to what your body's asking for. And then generally just feeling stable. So if you're feeling flighty or spacey, then maybe that root is out of balance. So maybe you need more protein. But on the other hand, if you are feeling stuck and very rigid and inflexible, then that might mean that you have too much. And then inflammation is also an example of root out of balance. And You know, inflammation gets a really bad rap, but inflammation is our body's way of signaling us that something is not quite right and we need to pay attention. It's when it goes on for a long period of time that, that it can really be a problem. So here are some root food ideas. So making a chili, it could be a vegetarian chili, it could be a chili that has meat in it, whatever your preference, with kidney beans, mushrooms, tomatoes, onions, garlic, and a chili powder. Something as simple as that, it would be a really grounding type of a food, a good food to feed your root. Tomatoes have a very high amount of lycopene, a very strong phytonutrient. And below that, we have an apple with nut butter. That would be a really good root snack. Red pepper with hummus and putting a little smoked paprika or chipotle chili pepper. So we're focusing on the red and also the protein in there. Lentil and turkey meatballs, a sweet potato and black beans, a burger, you know, a good quality bison or grass-fed beef burger, and roasted root vegetables. So those are just a few examples of root food types of ideas. So I've got a few recipes here that I put on here, and then I also sent some PDFs to Lauren that she can share that have some additional information. This is a ruby red root smoothie. This is one that was in Deanna's whole detox supplemental recipes. And it might seem odd to put a raw beet into your shake, but it actually makes it a beautiful color. And I love raw grated beet. I love it in smoothies. I love it on salads. It makes a really good flavor. And one of my keys with smoothies is putting something sweet and putting something not so sweet to try to keep that blood sugar stable. So you'll see here we have a small banana, but we also have berries, and berries, you know, tend not to be as high on the natural sugars. And then you can put any type of protein powder, your choice. Some people like rice, some people like hemp, some people like whey. And then they use either a raspberry leaf tea or an oat milk, almond milk, or something like that to make your smoothie. So that's just one example. Another here is a root salad. This is one that I really like, and it's very easy to put together. I like to mix a couple of different types of greens together. I typically do arugula. I love baby arugula and baby kale together, but red leaf lettuce, dandelion, any of those. Couple cups of greens, some red cabbage, red apple, some red raw grated beet, kidney beans, and pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds. That is really satisfying, and the dressing is really unique because you blend strawberries with the balsamic vinegar and olive oil and a little bit of sea salt and cayenne pepper. Delicious. So really, really good. And then I also make a beans and greens. Anybody that is Facebook friends with me saw this not too long ago, I think. This is just a nice one dish, one pot meal. I'm a big fan of those. So this is basically using, you know, chicken or vegetable stock. Homemade is the best if you have it. Onion, garlic, a little bit of pasta. You don't need very much. I tend to use gluten-free, but Israeli couscous is wonderful in this. And you add a bunch of rinsed and chopped red or rainbow chard and a can of cannellini beans, white cannellini beans. And then you add in peas and lemon juice, and that just balances the salt and the sour. It's a really great dish. That's, if you use 4 cups of broth, then it's a bit more like a soup. If you do 3 cups, it's a little bit more stew-like. So I'm actually, as I said, a grad student right now, actually doing functional medicine nutrition. I'm almost done, but I'm looking for a beta group. So I'm looking for about 10 people who would be interested in working with me through a nutrition assessment. I have a really great mentor who worked with Dr. Mark Hyman for several years. And so she's my mentor and reviews cases with me. So that is something that if you're interested in, you can email me at nourishanddine@yahoo.com. The other thing I can do is, if you're interested in following this food and spirit type of model to kind of see where it goes, you'll learn an awful lot about yourself. Then I have a whole toolkit of things that we can investigate. So we could either just focus on a 7-day where you focus on one aspect every day and really concentrate on it, or we can go through a 21-day whole foods detox together. And that is a great experience. It's a very well-rounded experience. So those are a couple of things that I offer. So beyond that, I've got my contact information here if you're interested. I don't have I just have a home office in my home here, but I can also do FaceTime or Skype or something, or Zoom if you'd like to do that. So, and do I have time to do this, Lauren? Yeah, all right. I have time to do these cards.
I would say about 2 minutes, because
okay.
we're just a little over because I started late. So go ahead and take about 2 minutes.
Okay. So I mentioned the Nourish Your Whole Self cards. And so what I did is I picked 3 root cards. And so I would love it if you would look at each of these 3 cards on the bottom and see which one resonates with you. Just take a minute to look at that. So 1, 2, or 3. And then I'm going to show you what that means. Okay, so if you were interested in that first one, you can look quickly. This is what your card means. And I'm going to switch to the next one. If that second card was yours, protein grounds me into the present moment. And then I'm going to move on to the third one. I create nourishing traditions. Sorry, it's warped a little bit. I was trying to copy out of the little booklet. Okay, well, I think I will end there. And if anyone has any questions, you're welcome to enter on the chat, or you can email me privately. And Lauren, thank you very much for having me.
Thanks so much, Kim. And if everyone, I'm going to take everyone off of mute for a minute, just as a warning. Let's all give Kim a round of applause, because that was really beautiful and we appreciate it. So thank you so much, Kim. Woo!
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go back.
Trying to figure.
Muting. Kim, you're still just unmuted for one moment here. I just want to say thank you for coming on today and sharing some of your knowledge and wisdom with us all. This Food and Spirit program is so beautiful, and I have the benefit of being a friend of Kim's, and so we've gotten to talk about these topics. And this is so interesting to look at food, at these aspects of like what it's doing for you, not only on these micronutrients and vitamins and minerals, but how it's making us feel. And if we use some of these tricks, we can feel balanced without having to go to the sweets and the starches and the chocolates and things like that, because maybe we have a little more direction of what to find when we need it. So this was really wonderful, and I wish we could just spend all of our time doing all of the chakras, because that was really interesting. I would love to hear more. And next up we have Stephanie Brandt. Stephanie, if you want to just bring your picture on, we'll let her get set up here. There she is, and I unmuted you, Stephanie.
Hello.
Hi, Stephanie is here with us today to give you some really nice relaxation, watching her make some art projects, and this is going to be a fun one to see. This is something that I love to do, and people always want to know how to do this. So you can tell us a little bit about it, and we're excited. So thank you.
Thanks for having me. And this is something that is really simple. Anyone who has a printer at home and some wax paper in your pantry, then it's very easy to do. And when I say wax paper, I mean like, you know, the stuff that you use on your cookie sheets in the kitchen. And if you don't have wax paper, maybe your kids had a paper of stickers, and you've got the back film that has that waxy substance to it. That will work as well. So let me just switch my camera to show you the one that I'm using. If you see here, it's just a roll of wax paper. Now the first thing you do is you pull it out and you cut a sheet to the size of a piece of paper, just a regular piece of printer paper. And this is what you're going to actually feed through your printer. And you want to use an, I'm doing a tutorial on an inkjet printer today because I know a lot of us don't have laser printers at home. And a common method is using Mod Podge and laser printers, but not all of us have that. So what I'm doing is I just have this very simple wooden circle, and you can use any material that want. It doesn't have to be wood. It needs to be porous of some kind to soak up the ink. So something that's a sheeny plastic or the cover of your laptop won't work. You want wood or canvas, or even if you have a notebook and you want to put a picture to the inside of it, like if you have a planner and you want to put a personalized picture in there, if it's another piece of paper, that will work as well. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'll show you the end product here, I took one of my ultrasound pictures, and I'll bring it up a little bit, and I transferred it onto this piece of wood. And it's going to be a Mother's Day present for my mom because she's a first-time grandmother. So I'm going to share my screen real quick to show you guys how to actually print this correctly. So let me just see if I can do that. Screen. Okay, and can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is what the image looks like down here. Let me minimize that. This is what the image looks like. And all I did was I opened up a photo editing program. You can use any one that you have. If you have Microsoft Paint, if you have Photoshop Elements, if you have any of the Adobe programs, I just opened it up, put the image in here, and drew a circle around it to match the shape of what I'm going to put it on. And I saved that as a JPEG. So now this is, show you actually the JPEG. We are, so I saved it on, this is the file. And this is where you have to know your individual printer a little bit. I'm going to hit print. And just some basic settings that you want to do. Most of the print programs, when you do this, it's going to open up this preview dialog here. So you're going to kind of see where it comes out on the page. You want to make sure you have the right letter size, your paper size. Plain paper is what you want to select because you're sending through the wax paper. It's really thin. You're going to keep the photo size at the full page. If you want to go into more settings, you can make sure that the output quality, usually that just means if your printer is going to use a little more ink or less ink, just the quality that it comes out in. So I like changing that to make sure it comes out well. Oh, take off borderless printing because that sometimes skews the size of the photos that come out. Okay, so everything here is set to print. I'm going to take my wax paper, and you'll notice when you have your wax paper cut out that it has the natural curl to it because it's been on the roll. You want to have that curl facing the back of your printer. So as it feeds through your printer, you it doesn't get kinked up in there and stuck. So all you do is you just put it on the top of your stack of your paper, and I'm gonna hit print and let it come out. Once your printer prints this out, you just need to let it dry for about a minute. Just waiting on the print dialog to come through. Usually prints with no problem. Once it prints out, you give it a minute to dry. And then my best advice from there is to take some scissors and trim it down to whatever you're putting it on. You don't want the entire piece of paper on there. So I don't know why mine's not responding because it worked earlier. So I'm just going to cancel it real quick and restart it. So you can see the dialog again. Make sure you choose the right printer and your drop down. Okay, well, it looks like my printer is actually giving me some technical difficulties right now, even though I did about 4 of these earlier today. Go figure. What I can do is just show you the rest of the steps. Once this prints out, you're going to actually just transfer it over. And you trim down your paper. So this was how it came out afterwards. This is what it comes out from before. Once you trim it out, you get anything that's flat, like a credit card. I actually have a scraping tool, so this works, but a credit card or anything that is just flat and rigid, you can use. Turn the printer back on in the meantime, see if I can get it to work. And then what you do is you would take the paper, and I'm just gonna act like this is the paper. So let's just say this is your wax paper with the printed image on it. It's gonna be in a circle here. You would then just flip it over to where this is the ink side, center it right over your image. And usually this is where I would take like a piece of masking tape to hold down the sides, because once this touches whatever surface you're transferring it to, you don't want it to move around. So you're just going to take your scraper and what they call burnish, just rub every area really well like this. And that's just transferring the ink from the wax paper to the actual piece of wood. And you don't have to wait. Once you're confident with how much you push it down, you pull it up, and then that's what you get. Let me see if it will actually print out this time. Maybe because I had a screen share, it wouldn't print. Yeah, I think that's exactly it, because I hear my printer printing now. But it's a very simple process. The biggest thing that you need to remember is to let the ink dry for a minute before you trim down your paper and put it onto whatever surface you're putting it onto, or else about half of it is going to get transferred. It won't all come off of the wax paper. And do I have an old one? I do. Okay. So if you don't let it dry enough, it comes out about half of the ink. And if you don't hold it down well, that's like 4 attempts ago before I got it to work out correctly. And then here is the one that did come out correct. And it's an ultrasound photo, so that's why it looks a little odd. Now, there are other ways to do this, but the biggest thing is that you just need some sort of wax paper. So if you've got a sticker paper that had stickers on it, and you peel away the top layer, and you have that bottom layer, that will actually work too. But I like using the wax paper that I have in my kitchen cupboard because I can trim it down to the size of a piece of paper and it feeds through the printer perfectly. So my printer is actually getting ready to actually spit this out because I restarted it. I don't think it was going to let me do it while I was screen sharing for some reason. And I've actually seen that problem with Zoom before when you screen share. Certain things don't work so well with slides and presentations. So we will see if it actually comes out. And like I said, you can use anything. It doesn't need to be wood. It just has to be some sort of surface that will absorb the ink. You can't use it on plastic. You can't use it on metal. If it's another surface that has a wax coating to it, like a box, like a commercial box that you bought at the store, you bring it home, it's a cardboard box that has the wax sheen, that won't work. So it has to be something that will actually absorb the ink. But you can put it on anything, even usually, like I have done a piece of tile, so that works. And then after you're done, if you want to seal it to where it lasts a really long time, I love this stuff. Take it outside, give it one coating. If you're ever going to spray this, you need to hold the nozzle. If I can get the lid off. You'll hold the nozzle about this far away, about like 6 inches away, a couple quick stripes, and let it sit for about 5 minutes, and you can come back and do another layer. And you can do that as much as you want, but once you go over 3 or 4 layers with this stuff especially, it will start to get cloudy. But that will give it a little bit of a shiny coat to it. And I am sorry that I could not actually do the live transfer. Go figure. Everything worked out perfectly earlier today. I'll try to send it through one more time, but that may work for some reason. So you just need to understand your printer. And if you are going to use a piece of like a piece of circle wood, take a ruler, figure out the diameter of your circle so that when you go into a photo editing program, you draw a circle of the width over it. Use the eraser in the program to go around and erase the extra. And from there you can do a couple test prints because some printers will send out things a little bit bigger, or even mine tends to send things out smaller than my actual image sizes are, which can be really frustrating. But if you're not familiar with your printer, you need to do a couple test prints on a regular piece of paper first. Yeah, you never want to put wax paper in a laser printer. This is for inkjet printers only. There are options to transfer with laser printers that involves using Mod Podge, but I know that not everyone has a laser printer at home, nor do they all have a big container of Mod Podge at home. So I do actually have a tutorial for people who have a laser printer in Mod Podge and want to do it that way. And also, as another note, you can do a color photo this way. I'm just doing black and white because my ultrasound picture is black and white. And if you are going to do anything with text, you want to make sure that in your photo editing program, you actually mirror your image. And that means when you go to click on transform, and I actually can go back to the screen share to show you. So if you do that, all you're going to do is, if you're going to do text, before you save your image, you just need to flip it horizontal. And that will mirror your text, so that when you, because you're flipping it upside down again when you transfer the image. So that's all you have to do. So if you are going to do text, keep that in mind, because it's going to look really weird if you don't actually do that. It's going to look like you're looking in a mirror. So if you're not doing text and you don't care, it's no problem. But that is the very simple way to just take any photo you have, and everyone probably has wax paper of some sort in their house. Put it on anything you want, anything that's porous. And that's as simple as it is. If you guys would like the tutorial for Mod Podge and laser printers, you guys can email me and I will send it out to you. But that is it.
Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah, that was so cool. I think a lot of people were always wondering how you did it, like how people make these wood transfers. And I know I've used a different method that is very messy and does not transfer as well as this. So it was really cool. And I just want to say an extra special thank you to Stephanie, because she is about to have that beautiful little baby very soon here, and she's got a lot to do. And we're so grateful that you took the time to give us this cool tutorial tonight. And I'm going to take you all off mute. I just want to have everyone be able to give you a nice little round of applause. So you're off mute, and let's give a round. Thank you so much, Stephanie. All right, we'll mute you guys all again. All right, I just want to make a note too that the weird schedules people have and the changes they had to make in their day-to-day routines can really throw people off. And if you are looking for things to do with your time, please check out some crafts and art projects. Get a pencil to paper, some colored pencils, some paints. You don't have to know how to draw. Just start putting some color on the paper and you'll see how relaxing and how much better it can make you feel. So I'm trying to incorporate some sort of art type of thing in these summits so you can get an idea of how easy some of these things can be if you're not already artistic. All right, so next up we have Ed Silvernail coming on, and I'm so excited because this is some new subjects for me. And just so you know, we're gonna see a little bit of demonstration tonight of Qigong. And so if you'd like to get up and do this along with Ed and you don't want to be on camera, just go ahead and turn your camera setting off. But we are all here and we're so looking forward to this. Ed has a really great energy about him. He's so pleasant to listen to speak, and he's got some wonderful words of wisdom. So thank you again for joining us, Ed. I'll unmute you here and you can take it away.
Well, thank you very much. I am glad to be here. My wife is off camera. She is always hiding. So, but if anybody has any questions, this is my secretary right over here. Actually, my boss.
Ed, can you check your sound just a little bit? It's slightly hard to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll see what I can do there. So, well, how's that? Better?
That's a little bit better, yeah. I'm not sure if you're able to turn it up.
Right. So, I'll keep working on it. If you have any problems hearing me, just let me know. I'll speak up. My wife says I love to hear myself talk, so I'll. So as she said, tonight I am going to do a little demonstration later on Qigong. Lauren actually kind of changed what I was going to do, but I think you'll enjoy it just as much. Over the years, I've learned and incorporated a lot of things into my life, things that have really helped me through difficult times, especially like what we're having now. We all have personal challenges that go on. Being a new child coming in your life, it's going to really change your sleeping patterns. It's going to really make a major change in your life. So over the years, I've studied martial arts, Qigong. Qigong is actually part of traditional Chinese medicine. It goes back thousands of years. We talk about Reiki, which is an energy healing system. Again, something that goes back, even though the word Reiki, as we're currently using it, it's fairly new, last 100 or so years. It really goes back to antiquity. Hypnosis. I studied self-hypnosis when I was in high school. I say it's what helped me through puberty. So anybody who really, it's a challenging time of life. So these are all things that I brought together over the years and incorporated basically to, really to help me be more balanced in my life, in my day-to-day operation. What we're going through right now with the coronavirus, I actually don't get to stay at home. I am out working. I'm a service manager for a copier company. I'm out in convalescent homes, nursing homes, doctor's offices, emergency management, police, sheriff. So I'm out in all these places, and I've seen how people are altering their lives. I've seen how this is affecting people. So I see the stress that is out there, and by the end of the day, it does even weigh on me. So I use these things on a daily basis really to help me keep a level mind. I am a person of habit. I have rituals. So every morning I wake up at a certain time. I do my exercises. I meditate every day. And actually, you should meditate more than once a day if you can. I tell people it's not hard. You have to go to the bathroom, use the opportunity to meditate. Qigong is basically, and I love this, I actually was writing some notes, Lauren, when everybody was talking and you were talking about awareness. Qigong is a form of self-awareness. We're talking about a body, mind, spirit system. In China today, they leave out the spiritual aspect, but they still use it for physical exercise. Qigong is actually considered the grandmother to Tai Chi and yoga, because it teaches you, it actually prepares the body to be able to do some of those different stretching exercises and forms. I'm just kind of checking some of my little notes that I wrote to help keep me on track here. And again, we're talking body, mind, and spirit, which is a holistic approach. That's where we got the name for the website, because it is, you've got to be balanced in all areas. It can't be all physical. You have a lot of people, you have these people who are all athletic. All their life, it's all physical. They burn out. People are all up in their head. They burn out. And you even get people who it's all spiritual and there's no balance, there's no continuity in your life. So you need to have that. And so I came up with a title from upset to reset, and it's really not even my idea per se. This comes from my grandmaster. And what we mean by from upset to reset. Now everybody's familiar with, get upset, you get angry. How quickly does it take you from the time you get angry to the time you reach that calm state again? That's what we're talking about, that we want as short a time period between upset to reset. So you're driving down the road, you're having a very stressful day, somebody cuts you off, you get all angry. How quickly does it take from that calm? That's the emotional aspect of it. When we talk about the physical aspect from upset to reset, and my wife doesn't always like it when I use her as an example, but I'm going to again. My wife was blessed about 30 years ago with a herniated disc in her lower back. which left her left leg from the hip down numb, which means she couldn't feel her foot when it hit the ground. Her whole left side became weak. One day, walking across the parking lot, she stepped on a pebble and fractured her ankle. So having taught her these exercises these last few years, she's been doing them. And one day she was out for a walk with a friend, and they had been repaving the street, so there was a gap. So you had the new asphalt and the old asphalt, and she was talking, she wasn't looking, and she hit that, and she twisted. Now, in this instance, instead of hurting herself, she was able to recover quickly because she had been preparing her body, strengthening the joints, the ligaments and tendons that support the bones and the muscle, and she was able to recuperate from it and continue her walk without injury. So again, from upset, which is the stumbling, to the reset, which is catching her balance. There's a lot of people that get hurt in simple things. My grandmaster, again, loves to give examples where he's at. They have a very old, it's a retirement city. The whole city is designed around retirement. And these are people who are in their 70s and 80s and so forth. And he sees people all the time where they're out walking their dog and their dog cuts in front of them with that leash and they trip and break a hip. So it's teaching these people how to recover quickly so that they don't break that hip. So what I wanted to do to start with, going back to the emotional aspect, one of the simplest exercises that anybody can do that I like to teach, it's a way to start, is breathing. Now, 70% of the people in the world breathe improperly. A lot of times you'll see somebody say, take a deep breath, they go, no. Diaphragm, I'm going to stand up for this for a moment. I'll back up. I don't know if you can hear me too well. Your diaphragm's down here. So when you inhale, put your hands on your abdomen. And when you inhale, your hands should go out. When you exhale, they should go in. So again, out, in. And I'll go back to the analogy I use a lot of times. You've probably not heard it here yet. But imagine a turkey baster. Now, when you've got a turkey baster in your hand and that bulb, you haven't squeezed or anything, it's full of air or perhaps water, whatever you're using. That's resting. So that is how, when you inhale, you relax the muscles in the abdomen and let them expand on their own. But when you squeeze, that's when the air or water is ejected from the turkey baster. So that's when you pull in the muscles. So again, when you exhale, you're pulling in here, you're pulling in here, here. So it's, okay. So again, relax on the inhale. Exhale is when you tighten up. And I like it earlier, Lauren, you were talking about meditation and breathing, and you're focusing on the nose. Again, when you inhale and exhale, ideally you breathe through your nose. The only time you want to breathe through your mouth is when you're speaking, like I am now, or making sounds. In Qigong, we use healing sounds that work on different parts of the body. So, and also you got to remember the sinus cavity is designed to do certain things. In cold climate, like you might be right now, it helps to warm the air before it gets into your lungs, or cool the air before it gets into the lungs. It also filters out pollutants and so forth. So, if you just focus, I was readjusting and did it wrong. So when you, if you're meditating on the tip of your nose, you can also focus on the air coming in and out of your nose. It's another one of those Buddhist breathing techniques. So have everybody take a moment, if you would, just put your hands on your abdomen, and again, relax your eyes. Like Lauren was talking about earlier, we refer to it as bamboo slits or little slits of the eyes. Focus on the tip of your nose. And the other thing you want to do is a gentle smile in your mouth. We call it the inner smile. So you inhale, and gently exhale, pulling in. So you inhale, and exhale, pulling in. Now the third one, we're going to make a little noise. We're just going to do a gentle sigh. So inhale, So say you're driving down the road, talk about, you're having a busy and stressful day, and you get that person that cuts you off and you get upset. I growl, I try not to yell, but then I start laughing at myself. Take a moment, just inhale, just exhale and release. Just when you do that, just feel that stress, that tension fall away from your body. It's the best exercise you can do. And again, by practicing this diaphragmatic breathing, this abdominal breathing, you're getting the lungs, you're not just using the upper part, you're getting down to the bottom of the lungs, you're filling your body with more air, more oxygen, you're clearing the mind. It helps you to relax, to calm yourself. So it's a simple exercise. Everybody should do it multiple times a day. They talk about 108 breaths. Sit there and you can use the mala beads. Just count off if you need to. Use some good meditation music to practice. All right. So that's one thing I wanted to go over. It's a very simple exercise. The other exercise I wanted to do, in Qigong, we're talking about body awareness. Now, you want to be aware of how you move. My wife is stressing out because of the time. So what I wanted to do is, now Lauren, I had something I showed you earlier, but we're talking about stress. We're talking about recovering from stress. So we want to release the stress in the body. And this is really, it might seem weird. So everybody wants to stand up, give yourself a little room. Now, in any exercise, you want to make sure that if you have, say, heart problems, high blood pressure, your head never goes lower than your heart. So listen to your body, pay attention to your body. But in this little exercise that I wanted to show you, and again, it's a nice, relaxing stress release. There's a little story behind it. You have this old Chinese fisherman. He's walking home at the end of the day, and he looks off to the side in a little tide pool, and he sees this huge pearl. And he thinks, oh, if I find this pearl, he goes, I don't have to fish the rest of my life. So he goes and he's looking for this pearl in the water, and this is the first movement. So what we're doing is you're bending over, and you're going to be making a sound. So it's, and you're just hitting here. You're actually hitting and tapping acupressure points. So you're doing this with the hands, and you're making that shh. So letting it all out. Okay, so you want to release all that air. So you're inhaling and you're doing that for one full breath. And then he sees, as he's doing this, he's looking for it, and he realizes, oh, it's the reflection of the moon. So it's like he looks up, oh. So that these are healing sounds, and these are emotional releases. So if you imagine you're, okay. So the whole thing is that you do that 3 times. So we'll go start to finish. So you begin. Up. Inhale. One more time. And see, you're pulling in, you're venting that lungs. We'll do that in a moment. So that, again, these sounds, you're releasing. It's like, just imagine that's a sound of sigh, depression. You're not holding it in. A lot of problems people have. I read I think it was American Medical Association, they talk about 100, 150 years ago, the most common cause of death was food related. These days it's stress related. We have such a stressful life. We were talking about earlier about foods, what you eat. You're not what you eat, you're what you absorb. You're absorbing stress in the air we breathe, the pollutants, and the garbage that we feed our bodies through food. The stuff that we put in through our ears. I mean, some of these songs these days that you hear, they don't relax you, they stress you. The things we watch, we get people who are glued to the TV, glued to the news, and their stress level is up here. down. So what you absorb. So one of the things that I wanted to end with, I wanted to go on, again, we're talking sounds. And Lauren, you and I did this last week when we were talking, and I love this. This is part of the exercise, and it goes back to breathing, because when you cough, that whole is to clear the lungs, the gunk from the deepest part of the lungs. So what we want to do, this is a healing sound, and yes, I will stand up. This is a healing sound and a bit of a movement that we do just for that. And I'll show you the movement. Earlier we went like this. This time we're going to come down. And by doing that, you're kind of impacting the ribs. Okay, so like this. Now, Lauren, I'm going to ask you to unmute everybody for this, so we're going to have some fun. The sound we're going to make is wah. Okay? So what we're going to do is all together, we're going to inhale, we're going to come down, and now wah, you're going to hear it. You're tightening up. You're going to let it out, all the air out. So we're going to do 3 of these. I love this because I can't do this without smiling, and when I do it in classes, people love it and they all smile. So to inhale, we're going to come down and wah! Now, it's not unusual to feel phlegm or something coming up from the back of your throat because we're cleaning out these lungs. We're going to do 2 more of these. Ready? Wah! Come on, ready? 1 more. Wah! So, again, it's a great way to clear out the lungs. Since we haven't been breathing with that bottom portion, that's where that crap is settling. If you've been a smoker and you haven't smoked for years, you might get some of that out. You might start smelling it. I haven't smoked for years, and you start smelling it. So it's a great way. And again, that you're pulling in. And when you breathe, if you practice that, you'll find you're going to start tightening up the abdominal muscles to begin with. It does help. These exercises, and this is the beauty about Qigong, you can do them anywhere. You don't need anything fancy in the way of attire. We adjust them for the individual's personal needs. If you can't stand, you can do them sitting. If you have a bad back, as my wife does, then we adjust the form, we adjust the exercise accordingly. So, you know, you've got to pay attention to your body. And this is, again, Qigong. We were talking about it earlier. You want to be aware. And I wrote something down the way my mind works. You know, be mindful, but without having a full mind. Okay? So you want to be mindful of what your body's telling you. You were talking about food earlier. Be mindful of what your body is telling you that you need to eat. I don't eat beef. Doesn't agree with me. My sister said, take Beano. Why? My body's already told me it doesn't like it, doesn't want it. If you have a weak spot in your body, you want to be aware of it so that you don't hurt yourself when you do these exercises, and also that you have an area to strengthen. So again, be mindful without having a full mind, clear mind, practice breathing, and you know, I'm just looking down because I think there's been a theme here tonight. It usually seems to work out that way, and I love it when it happens. I love the topics that we've had, and I want to thank everybody for allowing me to share with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ed. That was really fun, and I liked hearing some laughs and things in there. You, as promised, got people to make some noise and laugh. So I'm going to unmute everyone. Let's give Ed a big round of applause. Thank you all so much. We really did have a theme tonight. It was all about being mindful of our bodies, what we're eating, what we need. Sometimes we need a little relief, a little art, a little fun in our life. Sometimes we need a little laughter. And I'm so glad that everyone took the time tonight for themselves to do something that is self-care related. This is for you. And I really, really appreciate all of our presenters, our professionals. These people are so talented and amazing in their fields. We're so grateful that you gave your time to do this for free for all of us. I just want to leave you with a fun little quote I always think about, and it's that an old proverb that says, everyone should do 20 minutes.
Why don't you have your dinner first?
Oop, that's mute. Okay. Everyone should meditate for 20 minutes a day. And if you're too busy, then you should meditate for 1 hour per day. And I think that's a cute reminder that says, if you're too busy for this stuff, then you need to do even more work on this. I really enjoyed that. So I'm going to leave this room open a little bit. If you want to have any of the personal questions in the chat, we'll leave that open as well.